Before we get started, Josh and I got to talking about Len Lakofka. He is a mutual friend. Leonard, Len to most people, was my first GM. He was also a friend of the family. What's not clear from the interview, because we quickly got into shooting the shit about an old friend kind of mode of speaking, is I'm not sure I was clear enough about the fact that I loved and respected Len. He was in many ways a role model and an inspiration, and I miss him dearly. So I just, looking back, it felt like I talk about the fact that he was kind of grouchy and crotchety and didn't really like kids, and as a kid I felt that, but not as an adult. So in case it didn't come across, Leomund, you're missed. I look forward to sharing a tankard with you when I cross the bridge and join you and the other wizards. Okay, on with it. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Table Talk, which is the name I gave to the thing I'm doing on Tuesdays because it needed a name. Today's guest is Josh Popp. Josh is a wonderful fellow that I met at Gary Con, a convention that I went to after literally 2 years of pleading from my friends who kept saying, it's like old school Gen Con. It's exactly what you've been missing. You complain about this all the time. Get your ass down to Gary Con. And I finally did. I was hooked, and I've been going every year since.
Terrific.
Welcome, Josh.
Thank you.
So, am I right that I don't think we ran into each other before Gary Con, right?
No, your name obviously has been kind of, baked in the legend at this point. So I knew who you were coming. And before we met, I'd known Len for a while.
Well,
and so I always was anxious to kind of hear from, the Nistel family to hear about what their perspective on things were. And then especially after Len passed, because then I couldn't ask Len things anymore. And, maybe, you might still carry some of those secrets.
So to rope in anybody listening that might not know what we're talking about, Len is Leonard Lakofka, and Leonard was the one of the kind of first ring of people involved in D&D. There was quite a few of them because it was the big names, the Gygax, Arnesons, and beyond, and then a bunch of people that played games with all those people. Almost all of them were in Lake Geneva. And then some of those people moved away, or there were people that were not there and were clustered in other areas.
Len was the Chicago guy.
Well, that's the thing. When he moved,
who would come up.
Yeah, he went, I think, for Francis Parker, and eventually he worked for the department store, which he hated, but he liked Francis Parker quite a bit, and he was in a game club there, and I think he was the game club there, and he had run into my dad, and that was the connection. That's how we all got involved. We can go over that in a second.
So we're already getting into the details.
Oh, no, totally fine.
I'm getting what I want.
For sure. So let's start with, because honestly, the main bulk of this is probably going to be about Len. Gary Con, you're on staff, yes?
Yeah, I'm part of the executive staff over at Gary Con. I do a few different things, and I got involved during COVID because I'd always been too afraid to go to gaming conventions because I thought you had to be a gaming professional. And I grew up with parents who kept talking me out of playing. I don't resent it. No, they meant well, right? My dad saw me playing D&D, and he's like, "You should be out playing sports. You playing Dungeons and Dumbbells again?" And then as I got older, he goes, like, "You playing Dudes Without Dates again?" And I'm like, "Dad, the person who runs the game club at school was founded by a woman, and there's like, I don't know, it was like 2/5 women, and there was no, and I understand that that's not necessarily normal, but it was what I understood to be, that was my entire universe at that point.
Yeah.
So, because I didn't go to conventions, because again, intimidated.
Yeah.
And while I would go to Lake Geneva all the time with the family, we'd go boating on Fox Lake, and then we'd go up to Lake Geneva for dinner, to where people from Illinois, fine Illinois brothers, it's an acronym, right? FIB.
Yeah. Yeah.
We go to like Popeyes, the restaurant over by the Riviera. And I never thought to go to the Dungeon Hobby Shop or anything like that, even though on the back of all of the stuff it said, Lake Geneva and whatever. I didn't think it was accessible to me.
So you were freed from all these things and kind of walked right by them.
Yeah, I was not engaged with anything other than the material and just gaming amongst some, young people gaming. And then many years later, my kids, I have kids now, and they were playing way too many video games. And I'm like, you know what? I know of something to do that we can do as a family or with friends.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I'm back into D&D, and I'm loving it, and the kids are loving it, right? And some of my friends from college are still going to conventions and all that stuff, and they're like, you just should go to Gary Con. You got to go to Gary Con. But I chickened out in 2019.
Took me a while too, man. I totally understand.
Yeah, I know that. When you said that, I was just like, right?
Yep. And it's not a general, like, I'd been doing conventions I've gone to quite a few conventions, but it was something about that one that was like, I've also gradually got more and more of a taste for smaller conventions because it feels a little more personal. And you can get a more relationship with the staff and things like that.
Well, you know where to find us.
Yeah, for sure. So how did you go from game conventions are for hardcore professional gamers to I'm now involved in putting this thing on?
So I pulled the trigger and I got my Gary Con 2020 badge and placed this day. And I said, you know what, though? A good way to kind of get over my anxiety here is to help set up, because I'm in fintech, and I know I've been to a billion tech conventions, and I know when you're help coordinating that and setting it up, then you kind of know where everything is, and so I'm like, I'll go volunteer. Yep. And so I got connected to the volunteer group ahead of time, and then as things were getting grimmer and grimmer looking in early 2020. I was getting looped into that conversation to the point where someone's like, do we think we could run a virtual convention if we had to? And I said with great conviction, absolutely, no problem, which I didn't know, but I figured why not? Anyway, so like me and Matt Everhart and Luke and everyone, all the people who were supposed to run games, so many people who were like not technical still swung it over. They're like, you know what? We're not going to let this stop us. We're gaming. And it was beautiful and it was glorious. And we did it again the next year because we had to.
Yeah.
And at that point I was kind of front and center for the gaming and events and the technology stuff. And then heading back the year after that in 2021, I think it was, or 2022 must have been 2022 for Gary Con 14. Going back in person with masks and stuff like that. I was there like, so Josh, as we finished Gary Con 13, which was virtual, how would you like to be staff? I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you want me to do? And they're like, we're not sure yet, because during that time we lost about 75% of our staff to various issues, like whether it was I have a immune compromised partner, or you know what, I've been doing this for a number of years, I'm not interested in doing it anymore. There's everyone's got a season or so of something like that where they Gary Con's part of my life now, and then people move on to doing other things. So I kind of stepped in there and wound up running HQ and doing a few other things. I think the auction Yeah. And now I'm kind of letting others do a lot more of the stuff. And I'm like I said, I'm more of an executive role. I kind of report to my two masters are Luke and Bushra. And they're an absolute treat, along with the rest of the team that we've formed now. And it's been a challenge. I know you recently joined a convention team as well, right?
Yeah, what you said about, and on another level, I'm big into volunteerism, and like if you're down, the best way to not feel down is to help somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
So also, I was very in the game industry and connected in the '80s.
You know everybody.
Everybody knew me. Then I went away, and now there's Jenny D with the green hair and thinks she's 14, and they're all wonderful, but they're kids.
I love Jenny D.
She's wonderful. I've never met her. Yeah. She's such an obvious example.
You're just saying that she's someone that you don't know because she's new to this.
Precisely.
I bet you guys would get along super.
I've got no issues with anyone, honestly. That's not true, but I'm not going to mention them here.
You said you wouldn't talk about your issues with me, Mike.
Oh, wait a minute. Why did...
Kidding.
Our windows just went kaboo.
Oh no.
Yeah. It now thinks... That's very strange. I'm gonna live adjust this. If you're watching this, I'm sorry how sloppy this edit is, but rather than stopping the video, I'm just gonna fix it. And it just swapped us back. Why is it doing that? Sorry, people. Technical issues. I bet I know what's happening. I think in Zoom, I must have the thing where it's the mode is it's shifting to who's talking. So it keeps shifting anyway. I think we're good for a bit. All right. So we were talking about volunteerism. Yeah. So again, nothing against, there was a joke that I was telling pretty often, and it's not meant to be critical. It's a self-directed observation. I did watch a video, and at the age I'm at, and the fact that I was literally playing D&D since before it was D&D, I saw a video by her, and at the time she was very young. It was one of her first videos, and my reaction was, "This zygote is telling me how to run D&D." I'm sure the zygote is a sweetheart, but like on some instinctive level, I'm like, "Oh, come on!" But it just felt like the train had moved down the track. So the reason I accepted the role at PAGE, the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo, is I'd been going, and I thought, it's one of the reasons I'm doing these interviews, is I want to get reacquainted with the game industry as it exists now. And I think, like you, like being part of a staff at a con, I'm going to meet and have more one-to-one time with more people this way.
Yeah, and Gary Con has some definite. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but we've got some of the newest of the new, and that includes our special guests, and then we've got the old school, right? If they're still around, then they're coming to Gary Con, with some limited exceptions, and then there's like no school. It's just like these are just some people that are running games, and and you never know. There's one group that you can't even sign up for the games. It's not on TTE. It's walk up only, and I didn't know who they were. They're running AD&D. I was walking past them one night, and they're like, this is typical at Gary Con. Hey, do you want to play some, Greyhawk? And I'm like, I skidded to a halt because that's like that's a keyword for me.
Yeah, want brownies? I want brownies.
Exactly. And so I'm like, what? But I'm running around. I'm hustling. I'm trying to get stuff done.
Yeah.
I'm putting out fires. Like I can't stop. But I'm like, did you guys say Greyhawk? And I stand and listen for a minute, and I realize that they're kind of doing a variation on the G1, the Giants.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, who are you guys? And they tell me, and I've never heard of them and whatever. And I've since played in their game at other conventions. That's why I go to other conventions, so I can enjoy myself. Not that I'm not enjoying myself, but it's a different sort of enjoyment.
A different headspace, for sure.
You get it, yeah. And, kind of like when you're GMing, right? You're GMing. You're not playing. It's different. Yeah. When you were younger, to play. I imagine you played in Len's game, yeah?
I did. In fact, that's one of the only games I played on a campaign level. I'm a forever GM in a big bad way.
Right, that's what I know you at.
So I do play
from now, but
yeah, for sure. I mean, I do play to try out friends' new games or as a guest, but my interest in a campaign has gone down to almost zero. So okay.
Well,
you were doing what Skip was doing, right?
What's that?
You were doing what Skip was doing for a little bit, right?
Well, so I do, one of the things is events. Okay. And Skip's the front end, right? So he'll take the event, he'll figure out what's going on with it. And then I'll, if there's any issues, then Skip will bring it to the team. So we have like a bi-weekly meeting where we talk through any issues with any, like, what am I doing? And then Skip will be the front end voice, because Skip delivering hard news sometimes is better received by a GM than when Josh Popp sends it, who's like, who the heck are you, Josh Popp, telling me about my game? Oh, you're Skip Williams. One of my favorite memories of Skip at Gary Con was he was getting into a rules lawyering situation with someone who's trying to explain to him 3.5. And Skip just opens up the book and just starts tapping at his name. It's just like...
Skip is literally... Yeah. I mean, he was the dude. Like, he wrote that Dragon Magazine column, right?
Yeah.
Like, he was the guy.
So did Len.
You went to for questions. You'd look for Len, you'd look for Skip. Yeah, that kind of thing is the tap. I don't do the tap thing myself, but the most fun memory I have of that was my eldest daughter, Lauren. We're at a game convention. I'm talking to somebody who's hanging out, and he starts explaining D&D and role-playing to me. And I just listen because, the person's invested, and it's like, he's interested. It's fine. But my daughter comes up and says, "Do you know who he is?" I'm like, oh, my God. It was so sweet.
Something, which I was there when the magic was written or something.
The Aslan thing. I've got that saved to my drop this into text folders. Yeah, she did the tap. My daughter was like, here you go. Okay. So my biggest memory for Gary Con is, for sure, like at one of the meetings or dinner or something, I remember we were sitting and it was like all people I used to work with. I mean, we were 20 years older, but it's like, oh, there's Harold and there's, Ed and Lester. But yeah, when you walk through the place, it is really good to see the range of older to younger, but also there is a concentration at the con of old school games. So
it is, yes, that's part of our heritage as well.
Yeah.
So we've got our old school, and if we can preserve it, we do. Mike Carr and all the gang, are Tom Wam, and everyone is there to help run. Oh, David Wesley, right? Who's Bronstein.
Tom's on my bucket list. I've never actually formally met him. I want to play a game with that man. Maybe I can do it this year.
Yeah, man. I mean, I hate to rub it in, but I get to play with them almost every week.
I'm going to try to come up to Gary Con early and just spend some time in the area. Maybe also demo my games.
Yeah. A lot of people do. The people start showing up on the Sunday or the weekend before.
Yeah.
And spend some time. You've got probably some sites you want to see. Maybe get like a Maxwell Street Polish or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, that's what I've been doing is I come up early in Chicago, but I have not spent time around the con. I do have to get up to Page early because I've never seen Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So I come in, do the con, and leave, and apparently it's a very nice place. So, yeah, so I got to play Boot Hill last year, which was like, if you don't know, if you're listening to this and you don't know what that is, it's one of the very first role playing games, and it was Old West, and it's damn near a war game. It's barely a role playing game, but somebody had a very nice setup, so they had done minis of a small western town, and it was awesome.
Yeah, we got a few people that run Boot Hill. I think Burl and I think Alan Hammock likes it too a lot.
Okay, all right. So the elephant in the room is line. So my the story, such as it is, that I've told many times. The short form is, my dad was he ran a theatrical lighting company. In part, he was one of the guys that ran the Athenaeum Theater in Chicago. So out of that, they took the lighting they'd accumulated for the theater and they rented it. So they would come in and install, they'd troubleshoot your lighting board, whatever. So he got hired out to install lights at the Playboy Club, the one they had Gen Con at for like 2 years, I think. So it was right after Parkside, but before Mecca. So he went out there.
I think there was Gen Con 10 or something like that.
Yeah. And he had no idea any of that was going on. He was not a role playing gaming person yet. He was he was a gamer because Dad was a grognard. He was playing play-by-mail chit games. It wasn't Terrible Swift Sword, but it was one of those like it's the entire Eastern Front in stacks of chits. And he played that sucker for I think 5 years. He had it on the wall of his he shed. He had a room that one wall was all pins and counters on a map of Europe.
Was this Diplomacy that he was playing?
No. Diplomacy was far too mainstream. This was one of those that I think it was an Avalon Hill that came with those plastic indented chit things that now we use broken token things, but now they had those like the stack of token holders, real old school stuff. But so Dad was a grognard. Yeah, he was a Tolkien fan, but he had never encountered role playing, and he went to fix lights at Playboy Club, and he came back with a Playboy key and a Dragon Tooth Orc. And somewhere through that, he met Len, and then connected through the campaign in Parkside, and then we became his Chicago gaming group. So he played with my family, and it was mostly Dad, Mom, then me when I whined enough, and then eventually Brian, my brother. But as you probably know, Len didn't really like kids. So he got used to us over time, I think, but was not a big fan because Brian was young. Like I think I started with Len like when I was 9.
Well, you were incapable of volumetric expressions, so you're not going to be able to do the crunch like Len likes.
No. Well, and I was, being a pencil neck nerdy kid as I get older and neared puberty, and like I was a little Sheldon boy, I was able to crunch with the best of them. I think I earned Len's grudging respect.
Yeah, right. I mean, that he certainly had some fond recollections of you and Brian. In fact, I think he reached out to you at least once on Facebook, like to show you like what's that, and it was a map for LA6 that never got fully penned.
Yeah. Well, he did.
Sorry, L6.
He did stuff with Dragonfoot.
Yes, he did L4 and 5 with Dragonfoot.
Yeah.
And then we decided to go with LA, I think, for the one that I edited in Radic, which was 120-something pages, and now it's getting re-edited and redone by... Wow. So we've got this... So I guess I should explain. So what we got at the end of our... at the end of Len's run was we formed the Lakofka archive. It's basically like Anna Meyer, me, Troy Alleman, and a few other folks who've been helping out, doing some really heavy lifting with editing. Because as you may or may not know, that Len's raw stuff was very crunchy, and sometimes it was really possessed of this ABBA logic. So he would be like, there's a house. It has a door and a window. The door is made of wood. The windows have glass. It's like, why don't you just say there's a house with wooden doors and glass windows, Len? Why wouldn't you just say that? It's because he's building, it's a carbon atom with two hydrogens connected, and then I see what's going on there. The chemist in Len, right, is building out, the molecule of the building, but it doesn't read great. And the people that did all that work on the Dragon's Foot L4 and L5 are probably sitting there, if they're listening, going, right, yeah, mm-hmm. And then I'm sure L1, 2, and 3. I mean, I've seen an editor's copy of L3 where Len was making some notes, but I've never seen the original or L1 or 2.
So going back a half step there, because you and I know what we're talking about, but in theory, there's other people watching. So Len was Leomund. His player character was Leomund the Wizard. So some of the spells in the book, like Leomund's Tiny Hut, it was in recognition of Len's participation. He was a writer to an extent. I know he also did some editing, not really editing, but light development work. So he did The Assassin's Knot. What was the other one?
Well, the first one was The Secret of Bone Hill. That was L1.
Yeah. And
then The Assassin's Knot was L2. And then L3 was Deep Dwarven Delve, which was released much later. He was basically, Gary said, here's your spot on Greyhawk. Go ahead, put your Lendor Island.
Yeah.
And then in Dragon and Other Things, in his Leomund's Tiny Hut article, that would be in Dragon every month, he would be either there or elsewhere. He would be writing, articles about, he wasn't TSR staff per se, but he was a contributing author, and he would write like, here are all the Sul deities.
Right.
And then including one called Aquaman, AWK.
Remember that, yeah.
Len was not always great at naming things, I'll say that.
Yeah, our characters, some of our player characters were in the back of, I think, L2.
I don't doubt that.
One of the towns or cities had he was big on just, you put lists of things, you put those in. So it was like, here's some people from the town. And they were
Here's everyone from the town. Here's everyone from the town.
It's Bob, the guy over there. It's building C7. Yeah.
With 12 copper pieces salted into a hidden whatever. He loved rolling up characters, and the way that he then interpreted them is almost like an art, because it would be these stats, but these stats told a story. When you'd look at the whole town and you'd read through them, you're like, it really added, it delivered something. And then, it was, he would do all that detail, and then, what was iconic or characteristic of a Len module, which I think became kind of standard elsewhere, was that he always included at least one new monster, one new spell, and one new magic item, right? So the monster would be something new and exotic, because players would start reading the monster manual, and you needed to stop that right away. Like, you're not going to know exactly this is and then the new spell or something, and then the new magic item. Sometimes in the newer stuff that we were editing, it was sometimes overpowered, and we'd be like, well, that we might need to scale that down.
Yeah, I know that my work has definitely been influenced by my time with Len.
Right.
Notably, I have a Patreon. The Patreon, I'm building out a new setting called Gravelight. and I'm building a city called Haven because why not? I know it's not original, but I think people use names like that. The Simpsons, like how many Springfields are there in America? It's like 200 or something like that. So I do what you were saying, like as I'm building the town, that sense of like putting the people in the town, but it's not necessarily about the individual people. It's about trying to create a sense of a vital place. I think
Yeah.
is hard coded in.
Right.
Also, I worked on Ultima with people at Origin Systems, and that
Oh
was
wow.
very much the same way. Is you built like the town, and they were the originators in video games, the day-night cycle. So they would have people that it was a big development back in the day that the baker would go, he'd go to work, and his little guy would go to work, and then he'd maybe go to the bar, and his path would take him through his day.
Oh my God, that's so Len too.
Yep.
So in that the Raddick adventure, the one that's set in Raddick, I had to create a whole appendix to cover where the bad guy was
Yeah.
any given time of the day, which in the adventure itself, it says he's here. However, if you wish to use the .Leonard rules or the .Len rules, please refer to appendix whatever, because I mean, it's a lot of crunch to have to calculate the time all the time and know exactly what time it is. That for some DMs that might not be important. To Len, it was important.
Yeah.
And to some DMs, it is. So it's there if they want it, and if they don't,
And
the bad guy's always in that room.
That influence is still around. A similar thing was done, I think, in Secret of Saltmarsh. There is a series of bandit pirate guys, and there's the tide comes in and out, and there's literally a timing chart. Like the guy is here, and then he's here, and so it's very similar.
Oh, the magic user guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have to have a sense of where you are in the day or where you are, because you might run into it. Yeah, totally.
Whether or not you've triggered the magic mouth at the whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Boy, I fell afoul of one of those traps that Len laid, and my 5th level wizard elf ended up in a force field, wall of force. And boy, did I squeal. I'm like, yeah, it's really OP. Wall of force for a 5th level guy? I can't do anything about that. And he's like, well, should have paid attention and not getting trapped,
Sometimes, and so one criticism I've heard of Len stuff is that sometimes there's only one way through. It's like, you have to basically be Mao deep to thread through. There's a narrow path.
Yeah.
And that's because he was also, he was writing adventures for competitions and stuff like that, and at conventions where, people are supposed to die and fail.
Yeah.
Right. In competitions. So we've got some of those, that people just picked up off the table. Like, Len, why didn't you save those? It's like, I didn't think anyone would want them. Right? I didn't think anyone would care. I'm like, oh. And so we've still managed to gather a bunch of these at the archive, along with a lot of his diplomacy and wargaming correspondences, because Axel Kriegsman saved them, thankfully, and then took all the time to digitize them.
Wow.
We got those over to us. So a lot of people have been helping out by bringing us stuff of his. Someone, and if anyone's listening to this and anyone can find the, was it S something? It was levels to that spaceship adventure, Expedition of the Barrier Peaks.
Yeah.
He's got his own adventure based, like either like extra levels or something like that. I can't remember but no one has seen this. But I think it's like mentioned in a event guide somewhere. So
yeah,
I keep buying event guides and whatever. The guy that does a lot of who helps me with my collection is Bill Meinhardt, who's a big collector, and he always has a lookout for anything that's Lakofka oriented. And recently, he found this one convention book. I can't remember where it was from, but it's got pictures of Len standing over. It wasn't from the famous pictures of Len when he was running Gen Con when it was at Hort Hall, but it was kind of like that, where it's obviously Len collaborating.
I might have something for you. I might have one of the only pictures I know of him in cosplay. Because he did not want to. So
bye.
Well, but unfortunately, I don't think I have a physical asset, but I have a digital.
I just meant I work at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange here. So like I want it, is what I'm saying. Yeah, send me the digital copy.
It's like the Futurama, gimme.
Yeah. Well, that's no. This is bye.
Yeah. So, I ran because it was the style in some areas at the time where people would sometimes dress up in costumes for games, and I did a birthday party one year, so it wasn't a LARP because we weren't like in character walking around doing stuff. It was a D&D game, but people showed up in costume as their characters, and once I started running games, he actually played with me a few times, which is also not an incredibly common thing. And his character was Varn, and he was Varn,
Varn.
Yeah, and he eventually ended up a king. Political thing, he ended up a king. So he showed up at my party in a costume with a doublet and a crown. So I've got a picture somewhere of me as a skinny kid in a wizard robe and my girlfriend.
Oh, I would love to add that to the archive and put that out there.
I'll go digging. I know it exists.
Good luck.
I know it exists. Yeah. So my memories were early on, I thought he was the most grumbly, off-putting, and fascinating person. One of the most that I'd met, right? Because he
had opinions.
Well, he was not friendly towards the 9-10-year-old for years. So all I saw was he was a closed door for me for a long time. But he eventually did open up, and I think, became friends. I think he suffered me because he was pretty close with my parents. I remember he was the dude that brought the cheese and sausage, because in a very kind of Midwestern, we hosted the game, so he always brought snacks. And we were not the kind of family that put out that kind of thing. We didn't host that way. So it was unusual. And yeah.
So I would ask you this.
Yeah.
Would you reframe that perspective when you consider that he always kind of played his cards a little close to his chest, because he compartmentalized his life?
Oh, yeah.
Right? You didn't know about... No one knew the whole Len.
Right.
Because he was used to playing his cards close. He was... it's publicly known, but Len was gay, is gay. I don't know, resting in power, however you want to say it.
Sure.
But growing up in those days, maybe that's why. Maybe, I don't know.
Let me be very clear. I meant to say, and if I didn't, my apologies. That's how I felt at 9.
Okay, well, I can't argue with feelings. It's how you feel.
Well,
right?
Because I know a lot of that stuff. And from this end, it's very different. And the fact that now knowing on the other end some of those things, and the fact that, he was giving me the respect, and,
the fact that he spent time with you, I think, means he did not suffer fools.
Exactly. But I didn't know that at 9.
Right. But you'd still get, you still got to at least measure up. He's not going to suffer the fools, but then those that he will give time to, you had to be bringing it. And
he was intriguing enough that I was interested in engaging. So so he was the snack guy for a long time. He was my first GM, and probably one of the reasons, he probably changed my life. Like I'm an industry professional. I run games several times a week. I'm running a live play game in a few hours, and some of that is attributable right back to Len.
And you've published now with like Nuked and some other stuff that you've done over the years, right?
Somebody counted in the early 90s that I had over 3 million words in various forms in print. I'm sure it's much higher now, but yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm sorry, go.
So I was going to say, I mean, so Len was very compartmentalized, and so like he like competitively played bridge, and those people didn't know that he was also really into trains, and those people also didn't know that he was very much into Dungeons and Dragons. Right. Those were like separate parts of his life, just like other things. And when he passed, I'm talking to his partner Gary, and Anna and I are talking to Gary, and Gary's like, so I'm going to be making these memory boxes, right? With because he'd had him cremated and made these stones, and which contained part of his ash, and then would put in a little train, a little Lego, a deck of cards, and some dice. That's right. And to try and like share with people that only knew him as a bridge player, something like that, the whole Len, and he goes, I need something for the top to kind of tie it all together. And Anna and I are just like looking at each other like the image from Leomund's tiny hut, right? And Gary's like, what's Leomund's tiny hut? And I'm like, that compartmentalized was Len's life. And it's not that Gary didn't know he was in D&D, it's just that, so I'm like, Gary, look up Leomund's tiny hut.
Right.
And there's like 50,000 homages to it and references. I'm going to start a blog called, Bob's Tiny. It's the echoes and the ripples and all that are all out there on the internet now. And Gary got choked up, right? He was like, I had no idea that Len was this big of a deal. And I was like, that compartmentalized. I should have said, you too, huh? It's like you too got but
boy, Len must have been top 10, top 12 like names, like industry. You need to know these people. They're interesting. They do interesting work. They were foundational to the hobby. I think he's up there.
He was there at the beginning. He was there before the beginning doing wargaming. He had the Liaisons Dangerous, which I think was his. I don't know if you call it a newsletter back then or
the
zine. I think it was a zine.
It was a zine,
yeah. And all the other stuff he was doing before, and then when the IFW started, turning into a D&D club,
right?
He was ready, because you want somebody to write crunchy rules. Len was ready. I'm like, he was there for Gary, because there's a lot of stuff in the player's handbook and stuff that he didn't get credit for, but that Gary said, "Hey man, can you help me out with
That's one of the artifacts that we have, that I think my brother has, is the way the Nystal name got involved with stuff is Len was sent some of the early D&D, AD&D stuff, and they asked him, like, give us comments, give us feedback. So it wasn't a proper editing pass. It was like a first, second look, like what we call a dev pass now, right? Like, help us refine it, help us figure out what works, doesn't work, give us suggestions. And he would take them to us and say, hey guys, you have any ideas? And one of the times we pitched spells at him. And one of the spells that landed was the Magic Aura spell. But there were others that were actually my mom's suggestions, because Mom was she was Lutheran, but she was a big fan of the occult. So she was effectively a white witch. So she said, you don't have any actual kind of like traditional witchcraft spells in here. So she suggested antipathy, sympathy, and suggestion, and a few other spells that made it in. That the name was never tagged. And one thing that I don't know if you know is her name was Jenny, and there was the thing at Gen Con where they had the big dragon mascot, and they had that contest to name the mascot, and they named it Jenny.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
my headcanon is it's named after my mom. It isn't, but
but it's named after Jenny.
It is, yeah.
It's charming.
So we have a tractor feed printout of the original monster manual somewhere.
Yeah, that's something, right?
It's like Len's copy. So it's, beginning to get all like yellow, but the tractor is still on there. They were never pulled off. And it's the real janky.
Yeah, I've got yeah, and in that tractor feed font too. Yeah, I've got some of that stuff too that we've got scanned in.
Yeah.
We don't feel like we own any of the stuff that he actually, because we got like a box of stuff from Gary Jackson, and we make sure we scan it and stuff. But then I talked to Gary, and I'm like, what about putting some of this up for auction with 100% of the proceeds going to charity? And he was like, that would be great. Len was, a proponent of various charities, obviously the Diabetes Association, and
was he an ACLU guy?
Well, I mean, let's not talk politics.
Oh no, I know, but that kind of transcends. Yeah.
No, I mean, he definitely was in that disposition. If you go look at his Facebook, you can discern his politics almost instantly.
Yeah, mine aren't secret either. Boy, I'm trying to remember. So, memories of Len. Having him cosplay was cool. Being a young kid and having him respect me enough to come play my game was amazing.
That's big.
I was maybe 14, and he was playing in my game.
You didn't even know how big of an honor that was, huh?
Perspective-wise,
the guy that's been running the family campaign all along.
In my mind, he was just my GM.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that he was involved. He's one of the reasons I got involved. I'm not sure. Well, one nice thing is I know that he got to see my stuff published. My mom only got to see my first Dragon magazine article before she went. But Len was around long enough to see, like, he knew that I hired on a TSR. Like, he got to see some of that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
I bet that made him feel good.
Felt like a full circle kind of moment.
Although at the same time, he might have still been bitter about, the state of...
and reasons, for sure.
Because, yeah.
And I don't think we probably don't want to get into any of that. There was the association between some of these various groups was not great.
I will say this: the mutual devotion between him and Gary, as friends and gamers, was inspiring. Right, Len.
We're talking, just again, listener. Now we're talking Gygax.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No,
Gary. I mean, he was very devoted to Gary, and you knew that was. I mean, that must have been mutual, because Len, again, he wasn't going to put up with shenanigans.
No.
No, exactly. So, I mean, that I find that just charming to think about, because now I'm, on staff with Gary Con, and I like to think that, Len would like that fact. Like, Parrish and Gary, all right, just don't mention anything after Gary left TSR, or we're done with this conversation.
Yeah. So I had never met Anna Meyer, and I got to meet her at the last PageCon, and we became instantaneous friends. It was like finding somebody that was like a sister in another life.
He's like a kindred spirit to many.
Oh, for sure. Like we ended up sharing a ride to the airport with Phil Ward.
Yeah, and that was really nice of him to drive you guys. I was like, didn't you have anything else to do, Phil?
And he couldn't get a word in edgewise.
That's pretty. He just went he goes every extra mile. Yeah, I love that guy.
It's one of the reasons I joined that team, is Phil. Really, but he got to listen as the two of us bonded. And we'd occasionally see him look in the rearview mirror like, they're just not even going to pause. So I didn't know she had such a strong relationship with Len.
He did. Len, by the time I became friends with Len, she had already been like, he's like, I'm going to CC Anna on everything I send to you. I'm like, okay. And so all the stuff that I edited for him or talked about. And then when he went, when he was going to go on Jay Scott's show, Lord Gasumba, which you should go on at some point, by the way, because, Jay would love to talk to you about some of this Len stuff as well.
That'd be great.
And then, you talk about what's going on with you and what you've been doing. And refer to this episode so that Jay can listen to it and be like, I didn't know that. So then, Len asked Anna and I, like, do you think I should do the show? And I said, yeah, people seem to like him. And Anna's like, well, I'm joining their show, or she just joined the show. And so it was like, because Len wasn't sure, right? And then he wound up doing like 50 billion episodes with Jay, where he would come on for just like 30 minutes and just talk. And then when he had to go, because his health was starting to dip, that was just accepted,
Something else I got to get you a link to. I had this weird moment where I realized my brother had a really good job for a while, and he was a single dude this happens a lot with engineers and programmers, where if they're not married, don't have kids, they're like, I can buy every game I want that comes out. I can go buy my lightsaber. So they become kind of impossible to shop for, because they can afford to be self-indulgent. So one year I'm like, okay, I can't buy Brian anything, but what I can do, I put on a convention for him in his apartment, and it was a full convention. Badges, there was a dealer's room, there was an artist's alley, but the joke in my mind was to put as many elements of there was a paint and take, a sponsored paint and take, in a small apartment. There was a video room. There was a media room. I got all this stuff together. One of the things I did is there was, we did a call in. It might have been over Zoom too. And we did with Brian and Len. One of the last things he did before he crossed the Rainbow Bridge to find out what's next was that show with my brother. And I've got links to it somewhere.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. It brought me to freaking tears. One of someone wrote a thing about where it was Leomund going onward, right? And it was like basically some of the Sul deities taking Leomund to the next plane. I'm getting choked up just thinking about it, because I'm not going to get service. So I don't know where that's at. I'm sure it's like searchable, but I feel like the Greyhawk community's got to know where it's at. But
Block knows a lot of that stuff, right? Joe Block?
Maybe. There's a lot of there was someone, I think, from Cannon Fire who might have written it. And that's can't remember who, but anyway, it was really well written, and I just started crying because I was just like, that was a touching. It's not a eulogy, but it was I don't know, like a farewell, a love note, like a swan song love note farewell.
It's kind of a
And,
eulogy, but
sure.
yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah.
one less great thing. It was nice to see Greyhawk back in the new edition of the Player's Guide. I
Yeah.
don't remember seeing Lendor Island though.
Is it not?
I couldn't find it.
I actually haven't looked.
Yeah, I did. It was the first thing I
There's a
looked
part of
for.
me. There's a part of me that says, "Well, Lendor is Lens, and that you got to play AD&D for that."
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. So I guess maybe I'm a little bit blind. Don't get me wrong. I'm playing 2024 D&D with the kids because that's what the kids play in school, right? At the
Yeah.
clubs. And I enjoy it. It's not, I mean, it's a different experience than when because my son will also play AD&D
Yeah.
with an old school group at conventions and stuff. So he does both, and he enjoys both like I do.
Yeah.
It's got a different feel to it, but
Yeah, I got to go back and play a little of that with Skip. He's got a group of old Grognard dudes that's playing the old ways. But yeah, I got to do 2024 because I do professional GMing, and the market wants the latest, hottest, right?
well, it's what they know. You want everyone to be able to sit down and start playing and not have to explain what that is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all right. So now and then. Oh, and by the way, the skill checks are opposite of saving throws. So you want to roll, low on the skill checks, but high on the same the THACO. And oh, hey, they kind of figured it all out by 2024. I like it.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
I do too. The only thing I tried to go back, and the problem for me is I've become such a skill based GM that
Yeah.
when I can't ask for perception roll, I kind of
I need everyone to do per um,
run.
give me a wisdom skill check.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess you just fake your way past it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if
I
anyone,
jokingly said to Len, I said, so, all right, we're done with this and whatever. Do you want me to do a fifth edition treatment of this? And he just, I can't remember what he said. He said, listen, babe. And I was like,
perfect.
babe.
So,
And,
been great talking to you. If you want to
yeah.
meet Josh, he's a great guy. He's going to be at Gary Con. If you haven't been to Gary Con and you like gaming, especially old school kind of gaming, come on down. I think one of the things that is strong, the strongest thing about it is there's a sense of community at Gary Con that I've been to a lot of cons. There's just something about it. The Gary Con crew just feels a little like family, which is kind of amazing.
Thank you. I'm glad you feel that.
Yeah.
Obviously, some people just go there because they just want to sample a little bit of everything, right? They want to play something that's brand new off, it's seeing its debut and release there. We're going to have new Legends of Greyhawk adventures
Yeah.
to be debuting there. A lot of the manufacturers show up. We have a lot of
I'll be there running Nuked.
that you'll be there running Nuked,
Yep.
and we have a lot of the original stuff. The originals will be running original stuff. You want to go play games that were at Gen Con 2 or
Yeah.
4 before D&D was invented. They're still being played. And if you want to play the brand new hotness, or as I mentioned before, you want to just accidentally sit down and just find yourself in a game with some folks that just turn out to be nice folks. And it turns out it's not, you don't have to be a professional to go. That's what I learned. But unfortunately I was staffed by then. And then I had to start going to lots of other conventions.
That seems like the perfect outro. And remember, kids, you don't have to be professional to go to the convention.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't.
Well, again, thanks for talking. I'm going to be interviewing Anna in early October.
Outstanding. Still have more to say about Len.
I'm going to ask for sure. We're going to talk about map making and Len. So now that I know that there's that connection.
Yeah. Well, she did the maps for his adventures.
Yeah.
She did. Yeah, she's been a tremendous help, and to the community as well overall. I mean, obviously with the Greyhawk stuff that she's been doing, we absolutely love her, and I'm her ride. So when Phil's not driving her, I'm her ride to Gary Con and then Gamehole Con, which is coming up in a minute here.
I'll see you at Gamehole.
Oh, okay,
my
great,
first year out. Yeah. All right, man. Take care.
Cheers. Yeah, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate you.